Fast English is not a wall of sound. It is a language your ear has not yet learned to divide. Right now, you may know thousands of English words, you may understand grammar, you may read articles, watch lessons, and complete exercises successfully. But the moment a native or fluent speaker begins talking naturally, everything seems to collapse. Words disappear, sentences run together, familiar vocabulary suddenly sounds unfamiliar. You understand the first few words, lose the middle, and spend the rest of the conversation trying to catch up. That experience can make you believe your English is weak. It is not. The real problem is that your eyes have studied English far more than your ears have experienced it. You learned words as clean written objects. You learned going to as two separate words. You learned did you as two clear sounds. You learned want to, have to, could have, and what are you exactly as they appear on a page. Then real speakers arrived and said gonna, didya, wanna, haveta, coulda, and woulda. Your brain knew the vocabulary, but your ear did not recognize the sound. Fast English is not simply slow English played at a higher speed. Natural speech changes shape, sounds connect, some sounds become weaker, others disappear. Several words are compressed into one rhythmical unit. Speakers emphasize the important parts and rush through everything else. This means you cannot solve the problem by memorizing more grammar rules. You cannot solve it by reading more vocabulary lists. You must train a different ability, the ability to turn moving sound into meaning without translating every word. That ability can be built. You do not need a special talent. You do not need to live in an English-speaking country. You do not need to understand every accent. You need the right material, a focused routine, and enough intelligent repetition for your brain to recognize what natural English actually sounds like. In this training, you are going to learn how to stop chasing individual words, how to recognize connected speech, how to listen in layers, how to use transcripts correctly, how to shadow without becoming a parrot, how to train with dictation, and how to build a daily routine that turns fast English from noise into clear communication. Do not judge your listening by what you understand the first time. Judge it by what your ear can learn after deliberate practice, because the sound that feels impossible today can become obvious after you have heard it, studied it, repeated it, and recognized it enough times. Your ear is not broken, it is simply undertrained. Let us train it. Chapter 1. Understand why fast English sounds impossible. The first mistake English learners make is believing that fluent speakers pronounce every word clearly and simply speak faster. That is not what happens. In natural English, words do not remain separate. They influence one another. Sounds connect across word boundaries. Unstressed words become weaker. Some consonants disappear. Vowels change into shorter, less distinct sounds. Entire phrases are spoken as one unit. When you learned the sentence, "What are you going to do?" you probably imagined 6 separate pieces. What are you going to do? But a fluent speaker may produce something closer to, what are you gonna do? The original words are still there in meaning, but their spoken form has changed dramatically. Your listening problem begins when your brain expects the written version and receives the natural version. Imagine that you learn to recognize a person only through a formal passport photograph. The lighting is perfect, the face is straight, the background is plain. Then one day you meet the same person wearing a hat, laughing, moving, standing in poor light, and looking away from you. For a moment you may not recognize them. The person has not changed identity, the presentation has changed. This is exactly what happens with spoken English. You know the word and, but you may not recognize it when it becomes a weak N sound between two words. You know the word to, but you may miss it when it becomes t. You know for, but you may not hear it when it becomes fur. You know can, but in an unstressed sentence it may sound like kun, while can't receives stronger stress. Your vocabulary knowledge is not useless, it simply needs to be connected to real sound patterns. There are several reasons fast English feels difficult. The first is sound reduction. English speakers reduce words that are predictable or grammatically less important. Consider this sentence: I can give it to you in the morning. A learner may expect every word to receive equal clarity, but a natural speaker will probably emphasize give and morning. The other words may be shortened. I can give it to ya in the morning. The words did not vanish, but they became lighter. The second reason is linking. When one word ends in a consonant and the next begins with a vowel, speakers often connect them. Take it becomes take it. Turn it off becomes turn it off. Pick it up becomes pick it up. Your brain may search for the written boundaries between the words, but your ear receives a continuous sound stream. The third reason is assimilation. This happens when one sound changes because of a sound beside it. Did you may sound like didja. Would you may sound like woulda. Don't you may sound like don'tcha. Won't you may sound like won'tcha. The speaker is not necessarily being careless, the mouth is moving efficiently from one sound to another. The fourth reason is deletion. Some sounds disappear in rapid speech, especially when several consonants appear together. Next day may sound like next day. Old man may sound like ol' man. Most people may sound like most people. Asked him may sound like asked him. If you expect every written consonant to be clearly pronounced, you will keep believing that words are missing. The fifth reason is rhythm. English is a stress-timed language. Speakers tend to place stronger stress on content words such as nouns, main verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. Grammar words are often compressed between those stressed beats. Listen to the sentence, I want to go to the store. The important rhythm may fall on want, go, and store. The words I, to, and the become shorter. The sentence moves from strong beat to strong beat. Learners often speak and listen as though every word has equal weight. That makes natural rhythm difficult to process. The sixth reason is prediction. Fluent listeners do not identify every sound from zero. They predict what is likely to come next. When someone says, "Could you pass me the," your brain prepares for words such as salt, phone, remote, or document. Context reduces the number of possibilities. A learner who tries to hear every sound perfectly before understanding anything works too slowly. By the time you decode one sentence, the speaker has already finished the next two. The seventh reason is translation. Many learners hear English, convert it into their first language, understand it, and then prepare a response. This process may work with slow speech, but it collapses when the speaker continues talking. You must gradually build a direct connection. English sound to English meaning, not English sound to written English to your first language to meaning. That longer route creates delay. The eighth reason is unfamiliarity with everyday phrases. A large amount of spoken English is built from repeated chunks. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, as far as I know, the thing is, I was about to. It turns out that, do you want me to? I don't know if. Once you recognize these phrases as complete units, you no longer need to decode each word separately. This is important. Speed is often not the main problem. Unfamiliar sound patterns are the main problem. A sentence may feel too fast because your brain does not recognize its structure. Once the same structure becomes familiar, the speed becomes manageable. Think about your own language. People may speak rapidly, reduce sounds, interrupt themselves, change direction, and leave sentences unfinished. You still understand them because you have heard those patterns thousands of times. You do not consciously analyze every syllable. Your brain automatically organizes the sound. That is the level you are building in English. You are developing automatic sound recognition. This development will not happen through passive exposure alone. Watching hundreds of hours of English while reading subtitles in your language may improve your comfort, but it often trains your eyes more than your ears. The video plays, the subtitles provide the meaning, and your auditory system avoids doing the difficult work. Real listening training requires moments of uncertainty. You must listen before reading. You must attempt to identify words before seeing the transcript. You must notice where your prediction was wrong. You must compare what you thought you heard with what was actually said. You must replay short sections until the sound and the words become connected. This can feel frustrating at first. You may discover that a 10-second clip takes several minutes to study. That is not failure. That is training. A person lifting weights does not complain that the exercise feels heavy. The resistance is the reason the muscles adapt. In the same way, the moments when English sounds unclear are exactly where your ear can grow. But you need to train at the right level. If you choose material that is far above your current ability, you will hear noise, guess randomly, and become exhausted. If you choose material that is too easy, your ear will not be challenged. The best material is difficult but recoverable. You should understand the general topic. You should recognize some sentences. You should be able to understand most of the clip after repeating it, checking the transcript, and studying the sound. Do not begin with a 2-hour film filled with accents, background music, jokes, slang, and emotional shouting. Begin with clean audio, one speaker, a familiar topic, and a transcript. You are not trying to prove that you can survive difficult content. You are trying to create useful neural connections. Your first goal is not to understand fast English once. Your first goal is to understand one short piece of fast English so thoroughly that the sound becomes permanently familiar. Then you repeat that process with another piece, and another. Over time, the patterns overlap, the reductions repeat, the linking repeats, the grammar repeats. The common expressions repeat. What once sounded unpredictable begins to sound organized. You stop hearing a blur. You begin hearing chunks. You stop asking, why are they swallowing their words? You begin noticing exactly which sounds changed and why. You stop believing that fluent speakers are impossibly fast. You realize that they are using patterns your ear can learn. That realization changes everything. You are no longer waiting for speakers to slow down. You are training yourself to understand the English they actually use. Chapter 2. Stop listening for every word. One of the most damaging listening habits is trying to capture every single word. It sounds responsible. It feels like concentration. But in real-time conversation, it usually causes panic. You hear the beginning of a sentence and miss one word. Your mind immediately stops. What was that word? Was it thought, taught, or talked? Did the speaker say could, would, or should? While you are investigating that missing word, the speaker continues. Now you have missed 5 more words. You try to recover, but you are mentally behind. Soon the entire message is gone. The problem was not the first missing word. The problem was refusing to release it. Fluent listening does not require perfect capture. It requires intelligent selection. When you listen in your own language, you do not consciously hear every sound. A door closes. Someone coughs. The speaker changes a word halfway through the sentence. You still understand the message because your brain collects the important information and reconstructs the rest. You need to give yourself permission to do the same in English. Your job is to catch meaning, not to produce a legal transcript of every conversation. Begin by identifying content words. Content words usually carry the central message. They include main verbs, nouns, adjectives, numbers, names, and important adverbs. Imagine you hear, the meeting's been moved from Thursday afternoon to Friday morning because the client's flight was canceled. Perhaps you only catch meeting, moved, Thursday afternoon, Friday morning, client, flight, canceled. That is enough to understand the main situation. The grammar words connect the meaning, but you do not need to hear all of them perfectly to follow the message. When you train, practice asking 3 questions. Who or what is the speaker talking about? What happened or what is happening? What important detail changes the situation? These questions pull your attention toward meaning instead of individual syllables. Now let us examine how learners lose the message. Suppose a speaker says, I was going to call you earlier, but I got caught up in a meeting. You miss the phrase got caught up. You freeze because you do not know exactly what happened. But the sentence already gives you useful clues. The speaker planned to call earlier. Something related to a meeting prevented it. Even without understanding every sound, you can infer the meaning. Inference is not cheating. Inference is a core listening skill. Fluent listeners constantly combine sound with context, logic, grammar, and world knowledge. They do not wait for perfect acoustic information. Imagine someone says, make sure you take an umbrella. It looks like it's going to. Even if the final word is covered by noise, you can predict rain. The context does part of the listening work. The stronger your prediction ability becomes, the less pressure you place on your ears. This does not mean you should guess carelessly. It means you should build reasonable expectations before and during listening. Before playing a video, look at the title. Ask what vocabulary and ideas are likely to appear. If the topic is job interviews, prepare words such as experience, qualifications, strengths, responsibilities, position, company, and salary. If the topic is cooking, expect ingredients, measurements, temperatures, tools, and action verbs. If the topic is travel, expect destinations, schedules, hotels, tickets, transportation, and directions. This preparation activates relevant language in your brain. When the words appear, you recognize them faster. During listening, predict sentence endings. When you hear, one of the biggest problems is, prepare for an explanation. When you hear, the reason I decided to, prepare for a decision and its cause. When you hear, on the one hand, expect on the other hand. When you hear, it depends on, expect a condition. These structures help you organize the information before the sentence is complete. Another powerful skill is listening for thought groups. Speakers do not communicate in isolated words. They communicate in short meaning units. Consider this sentence. When I started learning English, I spent too much time memorizing vocabulary, but I rarely practiced listening, so I could understand books, but not real conversations. Each, represents a thought group. You do not need to hold the entire sentence in your mind at once. Process one unit, then connect it to the next. When I started learning English, that establishes time and topic. I spent too much time memorizing vocabulary, that describes the first behavior. But I rarely practiced listening, that introduces a contrast. So I could understand books, that gives one result. But not real conversations, that gives the limitation. Natural speech becomes easier when you hear these units rather than a continuous river of words. Pauses are not always long. Sometimes thought groups are marked by stress, pitch changes, or slight lengthening of the final word. Your ear can learn to notice these signals. You should also listen for signpost language. Signposts tell you how ideas are connected. For example, first of all, the main reason is, however. In other words, for example, as a result, the problem is, what I mean is, the point is, to be honest. At the same time, in the end, when you recognize these expressions quickly, you understand the structure of the speaker's thinking. Suppose you miss part of an explanation, but then here, the point is, you have just received another opportunity. The speaker is about to summarize the central message. Suppose the speaker says, in other words, the next sentence will probably restate the previous idea more simply. Suppose you hear, for example, you know that a concrete illustration is coming. Listening is not only about recognizing words, it is about recognizing what the speaker is doing with those words. Are they explaining, comparing, correcting themselves, giving an example, changing the topic, expressing doubt, making a request, telling a story? Once you identify the function, the details become easier to predict. You also need to accept partial understanding. Many learners believe comprehension is either complete or useless. They say, I understood only 60%, so I understood nothing. That is irrational. If you understand 60% of a message, you have a strong foundation. You can often infer another 20% from context. The remaining portion may not even be important. In real conversations, you can ask questions. Do you mean the meeting is on Friday? Did you say 15 or 50? Are you talking about the new project? Could you repeat the last part? You do not need to hide every gap in comprehension. Strong communicators clarify efficiently. Weak communicators pretend, become confused, and discover the misunderstanding later. However, you should not ask someone to repeat an entire explanation when you only missed one detail. Show what you understood. Instead of saying, I didn't understand, say, I understood that the deadline changed, but I missed the new date. Or, you said the client canceled something. Was it the meeting or the flight? This keeps the conversation moving and proves that you were listening. During private training, practice summarizing immediately after a clip. Listen to 30 seconds of English, pause, then explain the main idea in simple English. Do not repeat the exact words, state the meaning. You might say, she is explaining why she changed jobs. She liked her colleagues, but the schedule was affecting her family life. This exercise forces you to prioritize meaning. Next, listen again and collect supporting details. How long had she worked there? What kind of schedule did she have? What specific problem affected her family? The first listen should build the skeleton. Later listens add the details. Do not reverse this process by obsessing over one unclear phrase before you understand the topic. Train yourself to move from general meaning to specific language. First, what is happening? Second, what are the main points? Third, what details support those points? Fourth, which exact phrases were difficult? That order matters. Imagine constructing a building. You do not begin by choosing the color of one door handle. You build the structure first. Your listening comprehension needs the same hierarchy. You should also become comfortable with redundancy. Speakers often repeat ideas in different ways. They hesitate. They add unnecessary phrases. They correct themselves. They use fillers such as you know, I mean, kind of, basically, and actually. Not every sound carries new information. Consider, I was, you know, basically trying to figure out what we were supposed to do next. The central message is, I was trying to determine the next action. If you treat every filler as equally important, the sentence feels crowded. When you recognize fillers automatically, they stop blocking the message. Learn to hear around them. Someone may say, the thing is, I mean, we could probably do it tomorrow, but I'm not completely sure. The useful message is, tomorrow is possible, but not certain. Listening becomes lighter when you stop carrying unnecessary language. This skill can be trained through keyword notes. Play a 1-minute clip and write only 5 to 10 keywords. Do not write full sentences. Then use those words to explain what you heard. This prevents you from attempting dictation when your actual goal is comprehension. For example, your notes might be, speaker moved city, new job, first month difficult, missed family, eventually made friends. Using those notes, you can reconstruct the story. Over time, you will learn which words deserve attention. You will notice that stressed words often carry new information. Repeated or predictable words receive less emphasis. Your ear will begin following the speaker's rhythm naturally. Another useful exercise is deliberate skipping. Choose a short clip. When you miss a word, do not pause immediately. Continue listening until the speaker finishes the thought. Then ask whether the missing word was essential. Often, you will realize that you understood the sentence without it. This teaches your brain not to panic. Panic narrows attention. It makes your working memory less effective. It causes you to hear even less. Confidence in listening does not mean believing you will catch everything. It means trusting that you can continue even when you miss something. That is a much stronger form of confidence. You will never control every accent, microphone, speaking style, or background noise. Real communication is imperfect. Your skill must include recovery. So the next time fast English begins moving past you, do not grab every word like someone trying to catch rain with their hands. Follow the direction of the message. Listen for the speaker's main actions, people, objects, contrasts, reasons, and results. Release minor words when necessary. Let context support you. Let the sentence continue. A missed word is not the end of comprehension. Sometimes the meaning is waiting 3 words later. Chapter 3. Train your ear to hear connected speech. Written English places spaces between words. Spoken English often ignores them. That difference is one of the biggest reasons you can read a sentence easily but fail to recognize the same sentence when someone says it. Your eyes see. Can you send it to me? Your ears may receive. Kan you send it to me? Your eyes see. What did you do? Your ears may receive. What did you do? Your eyes see. I should have told you. Your ears may receive. I should have told you. The sentence has not become incorrect English. It has become connected English. You need to train your ear to recognize several common processes. The first is consonant-to-vowel linking. When a word ends with a consonant sound and the next word begins with a vowel sound, the consonant often attaches to the next word. Pick it up may sound like pick it up. Take it away may sound like take it away. Turn it on may sound like turn it on. Leave it here may sound like leave it there. Notice that written spaces do not control pronunciation. The mouth continues moving smoothly. Practice by drawing imaginary connections. Pick _it _up. Turn _it _off. Call _him _again. Send _it _over. Put _it _in. When listening, stop expecting the final consonant to remain inside the first word. It may appear to begin the next word. The second process is vowel-to-vowel linking. When one word ends in a vowel sound and the next begins with another vowel sound, speakers may add a small linking sound. Go out may contain a slight W connection. Go out. I agree may contain a slight Y connection. I agree. She asked may sound like she asked. Do it may sound like do it. These sounds are not written, but they help the mouth move smoothly. The third process is consonant blending. When one word ends with the same consonant sound that begins the next word, speakers usually do not pronounce the sound twice. Big game does not normally contain 2 separate hard G sounds. The sound is held slightly longer. Black coffee joins the K sounds. good day joins the D sounds. Some money joins the M sounds. A learner may search for two clear words but hear one extended consonant. The fourth process is reduction. Function words often become weak because they are predictable. To may become t-ta. For may become fur. And may become n or simply n. Of may become ev or even a very weak vowel sound. Can may become ken. Have may become ev in phrases such as could have. Consider, I want to go to the store and get a bottle of water. A natural version may sound like, I want to go to the store and get a bottle of water. The important words remain strong. Want, go, store, get, bottle, water. The grammatical connectors become compressed. You must hear weak forms because they appear constantly. Many learners only learn the strong dictionary pronunciation of a word, but the weak form may occur far more often in ordinary speech. Take the word can. In a positive sentence, it is often weak. I can help you. The word help receives the stress. Can may sound like kun. In a negative sentence, can't is usually stressed. I can't help you. This contrast helps listeners identify the meaning. Now consider have. In the sentence, I have a car. Have is a main verb and may be pronounced clearly, but in I should have called, have is part of a grammatical structure and may become ev. I should have called. This is why should have is often misheard as should of. The speaker is not actually using the word of. The weak sound of have resembles it. The fifth process is assimilation. Sounds change when they meet other sounds. Did you often becomes didya. Would you becomes woulda. Could you becomes coulda. Don't you becomes doncha. Can't you becomes cancha. Meet you may sound like meetcha. This happens because the final sound of the first word and the Y sound of the second word combine. The phrase did you eat may sound like didya eat. Would you mind may sound like woulda mind. Can't you see may sound like can'tcha see. Do not memorize these only as slang. Learn them as predictable sound changes. The sixth process is the flap sound, especially in many North American accents. A T or D between vowel sounds may become a quick tap that resembles a soft D. Water may sound like waiter. Better may sound like better. City may sound like city. Get it may sound like get it. What about it may sound like what about it. If your ear expects a strong T, you may fail to recognize a very familiar word. The seventh process is sound deletion. English contains many consonant clusters. In quick speech, speakers sometimes drop one sound to make pronunciation easier. Next week may sound like next week. Most people may sound like mose people. Friendship may lose a clearly released D. Facts may be simplified depending on what follows. I asked him may sound like I asked him. The speaker's mouth chooses efficiency. The eighth process is contraction. You already know common written contractions. I'm, you're, he's, we've, they'll, don't, can't. But spoken contractions go much further. I would have may become I'd have. He could have may become he could have. They might have may become they might have. You would have known may sound like you woulda known. I am going to becomes I'm gonna. I have got to becomes I gotta. Do you want to becomes dia wanna. These forms are not equally appropriate in formal writing, but you must understand them in speech. Your goal is not to force every reduction into your own speaking immediately. Your first goal is recognition. Listening ability and speaking style are related, but they are not identical. You may choose to speak more clearly than someone in a casual film scene. That is fine, but your ear still needs to understand that speaker. How do you train connected speech effectively? Begin with micro-listening. Choose one sentence between 3 and 8 seconds long. Listen once without text. Write what you believe you heard. Listen again. Mark the unclear section, then read the transcript. Do not simply say, "Oh, now I understand." Ask a better question. Why did I fail to recognize it? Was there linking? Was a word reduced? Did a consonant disappear? Was the stress different from what I expected? Did several words become one chunk? Then listen again while looking at the transcript. Follow the sound carefully. After that, hide the transcript and listen again. The final step is essential. You must prove that your ear can now recognize the phrase without visual help. For example, suppose the sentence is, I would have called you if I had known. You hear something like, I would have called ya if I'd known. Study the transformations. Would have became woulda. called you, connected and changed. I had became I'd. Now repeat the sentence slowly, then naturally. I would have called you if I had known. I would have called you if I'd known. I would have called ya if I'd known. You are not trying to become careless. You are teaching your mouth and ear how the sounds relate. Pronunciation practice improves listening because your brain becomes familiar with the physical pattern. It is difficult to recognize a sound distinction you have never tried to produce. Consider the difference between did you, did ya. If you have practiced moving from the full form to the reduced form, your ear becomes less surprised when another speaker uses it. Create a connected speech notebook. Do not fill it with thousands of random words. Record short phrases you genuinely failed to understand. Write 3 versions: the written form, the natural spoken form, a full example sentence. For example, written form, what are you going to do? Spoken form, what are you gonna do? Example, what are you gonna do after the meeting? Another example, written form, I should have known. Spoken form, I should have known. Example, I should have known he wasn't serious. Another, written form, did you get it? Spoken form, did you get it? Example, did you get it from the store? Review these phrases by listening and repeating, not merely reading. Your notebook should be an audio notebook as much as a written one. Save the original clip or record yourself saying the phrase. The sound is the lesson. You also need contrast practice. Record or find examples of the careful form and the natural form. Careful, what do you want to do? Natural, what do you want to do? Careful, could you give it to me? Natural, could you give it to me? Careful, I am going to ask him. Natural, I am going to ask him. Hearing both versions helps your brain map them to the same meaning. Do not become obsessed with spelling the reduced forms perfectly. Spellings such as gonna, wanna, or didya are only approximations. The exact sound changes depending on the accent, speaker, speed, and surrounding words. Focus on recognition, not informal spelling. Another excellent exercise is backchaining. Take a difficult sentence and practice it from the end. Suppose the sentence is, I would have told you if I had known about it. Begin with, about it, known about it, had known about it, if I had known about it, told you if I had known about it, would have told you if I had known about it, I would have told you if I had known about it. Backchaining helps you preserve the final sounds and build the rhythm accurately. You can also mark stress. I would have told you if I had known about it. The stressed words carry the main information. The other words fit between them. Tap your hand on the stressed beats, would, told, knowned. Then allow the unstressed words to become lighter. This physical rhythm practice trains your listening expectations. Be careful not to turn connected speech study into a collection of rules with no audio. You do not need to memorize complicated linguistic terminology. You need repeated contact with real examples. The rule becomes useful only when your ear recognizes it automatically. Study one pattern for several days. For example, spend 3 days noticing did you, would you, and could you. Search your listening material for those phrases. Each time you hear one, replay it. Repeat it. Add one useful example to your notebook. Then move to want to, going to, and have to. Then should have, could have, and might have. Then consonant to vowel linking. This focused approach is more effective than trying to study every feature at once. You should also expect variation. Not every speaker will say gonna. Not every T will become a flap. Not every consonant will disappear. Speech exists on a spectrum from careful to casual. A teacher giving instructions may speak clearly. The same person talking to a close friend may reduce far more. A news presenter may articulate strongly. A character in a comedy may speak quickly, interrupt, mumble, and use slang. Your ear needs flexibility. The goal is not to predict one perfect pronunciation. The goal is to recognize a family of possible pronunciations. Think of a melody played on different instruments. The sound quality changes, but the melody remains identifiable. English phrases also have identities beyond one exact pronunciation. Once connected speech becomes familiar, fast English begins to slow down psychologically. The speaker has not changed speed. Your brain has stopped treating every reduced phrase as a new mystery. Didya immediately activates did you. Shoulda activates should have. Gimme activates give me. Lemme activates let me. Outa activates out of. Dunno activates don't know. The conversion becomes automatic. That is when natural English stops sounding like missing words. You realize the words were present in altered form, and your ear finally knows where to find them. Chapter 4. Build a direct sound-to-meaning reflex. Many English learners believe they are listening to English, but they are actually performing a slow mental translation exercise. They hear a sentence, they search for the written words, they translate those words into their first language. They arrange the translated meaning. Then they try to prepare a response in English. This process contains too many steps for fast conversation. By the time you finish translating the first thought, the speaker has moved on. To understand natural English fluently, you need a more direct pathway. Sound, meaning, response. This does not mean you must force yourself never to translate. Translation is a normal support tool, especially at lower levels. The mistake is depending on it for every sentence. Your goal is to make common English immediately meaningful without passing through another language. When you hear "be careful," you should feel the warning directly. When you hear "it doesn't matter," you should understand the idea instantly. When you hear "I'm not used to it," your mind should recognize discomfort with an unfamiliar situation. When you hear "what do you mean?" you should sense the request for clarification. These phrases should function as complete signals, not grammar puzzles. The fastest way to build this reflex is to train with meaningful chunks. A chunk is a group of words that frequently appears together and performs a predictable function. Examples include, "I'm trying to," "I'm not sure if," "the problem is," "it depends on," "I didn't mean to," "I was supposed to," "it turns out," "as soon as," "by the time," "there's no point in," "you might want to," "I'd rather." Chunks reduce the number of decisions your brain must make. If you process "I was supposed to" as 4 separate words, listening takes more effort. If you recognize it as one unit meaning "this was expected or planned," comprehension becomes faster. The sentence, "I was supposed to meet her at 6," then divides naturally into, "I was supposed to /meet her /at 6." Your brain receives 3 useful units instead of 8 isolated words. Begin collecting chunks from real listening. Do not choose phrases simply because they look advanced. Choose phrases that appear repeatedly and express ideas you actually need. For each chunk, learn 3 things: its sound, its meaning, its use in several situations. Take. "I'm not used to." Listen to the natural rhythm. "I'm not used to." Understand the meaning. "This situation is unfamiliar to me." Use it in examples. "I'm not used to waking up this early." "I'm not used to speaking in front of people." "I'm not used to the weather here." "I'm not used to working from home." Now the phrase becomes an active sound meaning unit. Another example. "It turns out," meaning, "the final truth or result was different from what we expected or previously believed." Examples. "It turns out the meeting was canceled." "It turns out we went to the same school." "It turns out I didn't need the document." "It turns out he had already paid." When you hear the phrase, you immediately prepare for a surprising discovery. That prediction increases listening speed. You can strengthen direct understanding through picture association. Choose concrete phrases and connect them to mental images instead of translations. When you hear, "She spilled coffee on her laptop," imagine the coffee falling onto the keyboard. When you hear, "He missed the bus," imagine him arriving as the bus drives away. When you hear, "They postponed the event," imagine the date moving forward on a calendar. Mental imagery creates a direct bridge from English to experience. For abstract language, connect the phrase to a situation or emotional state. "I can't make up my mind" can be linked to someone struggling to choose between 2 options. "I didn't see that coming" can be linked to surprise. "I'm looking forward to it" can be linked to positive anticipation. "That doesn't add up" can be linked to suspicion that information is inconsistent. Meaning is not merely a definition. Meaning is a mental experience. Another useful method is action-based listening. When you hear an instruction, physically respond. Stand up. Open the door. Write your name. Move the chair. Turn around. Pick up the book. Place the pen beside the phone. This creates a direct sound-to-action connection. You are training your brain to understand English as a command, not as material to translate. You can do the same with imagined actions if physical movement is not practical. Listen to short descriptions and visualize each action in sequence. She walked into the kitchen, opened the cupboard, took out a glass and filled it with water. See the sequence mentally. Do not translate it. Let the English control the images. Another powerful exercise is instant paraphrasing. Listen to one sentence, pause, and express the same meaning in simpler English. Original: I couldn't concentrate because there was so much noise. Paraphrase: the noise made it difficult for me to focus. Original: we ended up taking a different route. Paraphrase: finally we traveled another way. Original: she turned down the offer. Paraphrase: she refused the offer. This proves that you understood the idea, not merely the vocabulary. At first your paraphrase may be slow. With practice it becomes quicker. You should also train automatic responses. Create a list of common conversational questions. How have you been? What have you been working on? What do you think about that? Have you ever tried it? What happened next? How did you find out? What are you planning to do? Do you mind if I sit here? Could you give me a hand? Would you like me to call you? Listen to the questions at natural speed and answer immediately. Your answer does not need to be long. The purpose is to connect sound to response without translation. Question: what have you been up to lately? Response: I've been working on a new project. Question: do you mind if I open the window? Response: not at all. Go ahead. Question: how did the meeting go? Response: it went well, but it lasted too long. The faster you recognize the function of the question, the easier real conversations become. Many learners recognize all the words in "do you mind if I," but do not understand what kind of response is expected. They analyze the word mind and become confused. Chunks solve this problem. Do you mind if I is a polite request for permission. Would you mind is also a polite request. How come asks for a reason. What was it like asks for a description of an experience. What do you do usually asks about work or occupation. What are you up to may ask what you are doing now or what you have been doing recently. Meaning depends on the whole expression. Train the whole expression. You should also reduce your dependence on translated subtitles. There is nothing morally wrong with subtitles in your language. They can help you enjoy content, but enjoyment and training are different goals. When you use translated subtitles, your eyes receive a complete meaning system that competes with the English audio. Your brain naturally chooses the easier route. You feel as though you are following the English, but you may actually be reading. A better progression is: first listen without subtitles, then listen with English subtitles, then study unclear sections, then listen again without subtitles. Use translation only when the meaning remains genuinely unclear after you have examined the English. This keeps English at the center of the process. Another method is definition training. Choose common words and explain them in simple English rather than translating them. For example, delay means something happens later than planned. Borrow means take something temporarily and return it later. Avoid means stay away from something or prevent it from happening. Reliable describes someone or something you can trust. Exhausted means extremely tired. This strengthens your English to English network. However, do not waste time creating complex dictionary definitions for every word. Use short, practical explanations. You can also create situation cards. On one side, write a situation. You agreed to attend a meeting, but now you cannot go. On the other side, write useful English. I'm afraid I won't be able to make it. Something has come up. Could we reschedule? Listen to or record the English. Then connect it to the situation. Another card. Someone explains something, but you are still confused. Useful English. I'm not sure I follow. Could you explain what you mean? So, are you saying that? Another. You need time to think before answering. Useful English. Let me think about that. That's a good question. I haven't really thought about it before. These phrases become automatic because they are attached to communicative needs. Direct listening also depends on emotional familiarity. If you always train with neutral textbook sentences, you may struggle when speakers sound annoyed, excited, embarrassed, uncertain, sarcastic, or amused. The words "that's great" can communicate genuine enthusiasm or complete disappointment, depending on tone. The sentence "I didn't say that" changes meaning depending on which word receives stress. I didn't say that. Someone else said it. I didn't say that. I deny saying it. I didn't say that. I communicated something but not in those words. I didn't say that. I said something different. Listening is not only word recognition, it is interpretation of stress, pitch, emotion, and intention. Train with short dialogues where the same sentence carries different attitudes. For example, fine. It can mean genuine agreement. It can mean reluctant acceptance. It can mean anger. It can mean the conversation is over. The sound carries information beyond the dictionary meaning. You should also practice category recognition. Listen to several sentences expressing the same function. Requests: could you help me with this? Would you mind taking a look? Can you give me a hand? Do you think you could check this? Suggestions: you could try restarting it. Why don't we leave earlier? You might want to call them first. How about taking a break? Disagreement: I'm not sure I agree. I see it differently. That's not how I understood it. I take your point, but when your brain recognizes the category, comprehension becomes faster even when the exact wording is new. You are no longer decoding from nothing. You are matching the sound to a known communicative purpose. This is how direct listening grows, not through one dramatic breakthrough, but through thousands of small automatic connections. A phrase appears repeatedly. You recognize it more quickly. Its meaning becomes immediate. You stop translating it. You begin predicting what follows. Eventually, the phrase becomes part of your internal English system. You must be patient with this transition. Translation may continue appearing in your mind, especially when the topic is difficult or emotional. Do not fight it aggressively. Simply keep strengthening the direct route. Imagine two roads. The translation road is old, wide, and familiar. The direct English road is new and narrow. Every time you connect English sound directly to meaning, you travel the new road. Repetition makes it wider. Eventually, it becomes the faster route. The old road does not need to disappear. It simply stops controlling every journey. Your goal is not to understand English by thinking harder. Your goal is to recognize more so that you can think less. When sound and meaning become connected, fast English no longer feels like a puzzle that must be solved. It begins to feel like communication. Chapter 5. Use the layered listening method. Most learners listen to English in one of two ineffective ways. They play something once, understand very little, and move on. Or they replay it again and again without changing what they are doing. Neither approach creates strong improvement. Effective repetition must have a purpose. Each listen should answer a different question. Each layer should reveal something new. You move from general meaning to detailed recognition, then from recognition to automatic understanding. This is the layered listening method. Use a clip between 30 seconds and 3 minutes long. Shorter material allows deeper study. Long content is useful for extensive listening, but focused ear training works best with manageable sections. The first layer is the cold listen. Play the clip without subtitles or transcript. Do not pause. Do not rewind. Do not try to catch everything. Your only goal is to understand the situation and main idea. Ask: who is speaking? What is the topic? What is the speaker trying to communicate? What is the general mood? What conclusion can I make? After the clip, say or write a one-sentence summary. For example, a woman is explaining why she decided to change careers, or two friends are discussing a travel problem and trying to choose another plan, or the speaker is giving advice about improving concentration. Your summary may be incomplete. That is acceptable. The first listen is diagnostic. It shows what your ear can currently do without support. The second layer is the keyword listen. Play the clip again. This time, listen for stressed content words. Write only keywords, not full sentences. Suppose the clip is about a missed flight. Your notes may include airport, traffic, check-in closed, extra fee, hotel overnight, new flight morning. These words create the skeleton of the message. After listening, use them to explain the story. Do not worry about exact grammar. Focus on connections. The third layer is the structure listen. Play the clip again and notice how the ideas are organized. Listen for signposts. At first, but then. The reason was, because of that. Eventually, the main problem. In the end, the speaker's structure may be original plan, unexpected problem, attempted solution, final result. Understanding structure reduces the mental load of listening. You know where each detail belongs. The fourth layer is the gap listen. Now identify specific moments you still cannot understand. Do not replay the entire clip 10 times. Isolate the difficult section. Perhaps the unclear part lasts 4 seconds. Play those 4 seconds 3 times. Write exactly what you think you hear, even if it makes no sense. For example, you may write, I got car in a meeting. The transcript later reveals, I got caught in a meeting. Now you have discovered a real listening gap. The problem was not vocabulary. You knew got, caught, in, a, and meeting. The problem was the connected sound. That discovery is valuable. Another time you may write, "We should have left early." The transcript reveals, "We should have left early." Again, familiar words appeared in an unfamiliar spoken form. The fifth layer is transcript analysis. Read the transcript while listening. Do not read silently first. Let sound and text arrive together. Underline the words you failed to hear. Circle useful chunks. Mark reductions and links. Identify the stressed words. Ask why the sound differed from your expectation. Suppose the transcript says, "I didn't realize we were supposed to bring our own equipment." You may have heard, "I didn't realize we're supposed to bring our own equipment." Mark the changes. Didn't lost a strongly released final T. We were became lighter and more connected. Supposed to became spasta. Our own linked together. The sixth layer is meaning confirmation. Make sure you understand the sentence itself. Sometimes learners focus so much on sound that they forget meaning. Explain the difficult line in simpler English. "We were supposed to bring our own equipment" means the equipment was not provided. Each person was expected to bring theirs. If necessary, look up one or two essential words. Do not interrupt the whole training session to research every interesting expression. The seventh layer is controlled repetition. Listen to one sentence, pause, repeat it while copying the rhythm, stress, linking, and emotion. Do not merely read the transcript in your normal voice. Try to reproduce what you heard. If the speaker says, "I didn't realize we were supposed to bring our own equipment," notice the stress. "I didn't realize we were supposed to bring our own equipment." The smaller words fit between the strong beats. Repeat slowly while preserving the same pattern. Then increase speed. The goal is not perfect imitation. The goal is physical familiarity with the sound sequence. The eighth layer is simultaneous shadowing. Play the sentence and speak with the speaker or a fraction of a second behind. This is more difficult than pause and repeat because you must keep the rhythm moving. Do not shadow the entire 3-minute clip immediately. Begin with one sentence, then two, then a short paragraph. The ninth layer is blind re-listening. Hide the transcript. Play the original clip again from the beginning. Now ask, "Can I hear the phrases that were previously unclear? Can I understand the message without visual support? Does the clip feel slower?" This final listen reveals whether the training worked. Many learners stop after reading the transcript. That creates an illusion of improvement. The words become clear because the eyes are helping. You need the blind re-listen to transfer that clarity back to the ears. The 10th layer is delayed review. Return to the same clip the next day or several days later. Listen once without text. If you still understand it, the pattern is entering long-term memory. If the difficult phrase has become unclear again, study it briefly and repeat it. Spaced review strengthens recognition far more than one long session. This entire process may take 15 to 30 minutes for a short clip. That sounds slow. It is supposed to be slow. You are not measuring how much English content passes through your device. You are measuring how much English sound becomes clear to your brain. 10 deeply studied minutes can improve your listening more than an hour of passive watching. However, not every listening session should be this intensive. You need two modes, intensive listening and extensive listening. Intensive listening uses short clips and detailed analysis. Extensive listening uses longer material for general understanding and exposure. Intensive listening sharpens the ear. Extensive listening builds endurance, vocabulary familiarity, and comfort with continuous speech. A balanced learner uses both. For example, you may spend 20 minutes intensively studying a 90-second clip, then spend 20 minutes listening to an easier podcast without stopping. During extensive listening, do not pause for every unknown word. Follow the message. Choose material where you understand enough to remain engaged. During intensive listening, become a sound detective. Investigate specific failures. Do not confuse the two modes. If you analyze every sentence in a 40-minute podcast, you will become exhausted. If you never analyze anything, your repeated misunderstandings may remain unchanged for years. The layered method also protects you from transcript dependence. The transcript appears only after several listening attempts. It is a tool, not a crutch. Many learners turn on English subtitles immediately. Their eyes move faster than the audio. They understand the content, but the ear receives little training. Follow this order: listen, attempt, predict, check, analyze, repeat, listen again. The struggle before checking is important. It forces your brain to make an auditory hypothesis. When you compare that hypothesis with the transcript, the correction becomes memorable. Suppose you heard, "He works in a sheep." The transcript says, "He works night shifts." The difference is surprising. You investigate the sound. Night shifts was linked and reduced. The final T may have been weak. The phrase appeared quickly. That error teaches you something. If you had read the subtitles from the beginning, you might never have noticed your ear's incorrect interpretation. Keep an error log. After each intensive session, record 1 to 3 listening mistakes. Use simple categories: known words, unrecognized sound, unknown vocabulary, connected speech, accent feature, lost concentration, incorrect prediction, grammar structure unfamiliar. For example, I knew should have, but I did not recognize shoulda. I heard 15 as 50 because I missed the final stress pattern. I lost the sentence after one unknown word. I misunderstood used to as use. This log reveals patterns in your listening problems. Perhaps you believe accents are your main difficulty, but your log shows that weak forms cause most mistakes. Perhaps you think your vocabulary is too small, but most missed phrases contain words you already know. Training becomes more effective when it targets evidence rather than fear. You can also rate each clip. Before study, main idea 50%, details 30%. After study, main idea 100%, details 90%. Next day review, main idea 90%, details 80%. These numbers do not need scientific precision. They help you notice progress that might otherwise remain invisible. Listening improvement can feel slow because the change is distributed across many patterns. One day you suddenly understand, "What have you been up to?" without effort. Another day, "I would have done the same thing" becomes obvious. Another day you follow a story without translating. These small gains accumulate. Choose clips strategically. The ideal clip has clear audio, a transcript or accurate English captions, a topic you can understand, a speaker whose accent is relevant to your goals, natural but not chaotic speech, useful everyday language. Do not begin with content containing constant music, overlapping speakers, heavy slang, or technical vocabulary, unless those are specifically important to you. Start with one speaker, then move to interviews, then dialogues, then group conversations. Increase difficulty gradually. You can also use the same speaker for several weeks. Familiarity with one voice reduces unnecessary difficulty and allows you to notice language patterns. Later, expand to different voices and accents. The layered method works especially well with short stories, personal explanations, interviews, tutorials, and conversational podcasts. Suppose your clip says, "I'd been thinking about leaving for a while, but I didn't make the final decision until my manager asked me to work another weekend." Your first listen captures, "Person decided to leave job." Your second listen captures, "Thinking for a while, manager, another weekend, final decision." Transcript analysis reveals, "I'd been" sounded like one compressed unit. "Thinking about" linked together. "Didn't make" lost a strong final consonant. "Asked me to" compressed. You repeat the sentence. The next day, you recognize all of it immediately. That is ear training. You took one unclear sound sequence and converted it into a familiar language pattern. Repeat that process consistently and fast English begins to contain fewer surprises. Do not chase endless new content. Master selected content. A learner who studies 30 clips deeply may develop stronger listening reflexes than someone who casually watches 300 videos. Volume matters only when your brain is processing what it receives. The layered method makes processing visible. Each listen has a job. Each mistake has an explanation. Each replay builds a stronger connection. And every time a previously unclear sentence becomes understandable without text, your ear has changed. Chapter 6. Use shadowing to copy rhythm, not just words. Shadowing is often recommended as a miracle technique. Learners are told to play English and repeat at the same time. Then they spend weeks moving their mouths quickly, copying sounds they do not fully understand, and becoming better at making noise without becoming better listeners. Shadowing can be powerful, but careless shadowing is only imitation. Effective shadowing combines comprehension, attention, memory, pronunciation, and rhythm. The first rule is simple. Do not shadow material you do not understand. Before speaking with the audio, know what the speaker is saying and why they are saying it. Understand the vocabulary. Understand the grammar. Understand the situation. Understand the emotion. Otherwise, your mouth is copying an unknown code. The second rule is to use short material. Begin with one sentence, not a 10-minute speech, not an entire television episode. One sentence lets you notice details. Consider, I didn't think it would take this long. First, understand the meaning. The speaker expected the process to finish sooner. Then listen for stress. I didn't think it would take this long. The words think, take, and long are prominent. The other words are lighter. Listen for reductions. Didn't may lose a strongly released final T. It would may connect. This long may flow as one rhythmical unit. Now use several stages. Stage 1 is silent shadowing. Listen and follow the speaker mentally without speaking. Imagine the words moving with the audio. This allows you to notice the timing without the distraction of your own voice. Stage 2 is whisper shadowing. Speak very quietly. Focus on rhythm rather than volume. Whispering makes it easier to stay with the speaker. Stage 3 is delayed shadowing. Repeat a fraction of a second behind the speaker. You hear a small unit, hold it briefly and reproduce it. This trains listening memory. Stage 4 is simultaneous shadowing. Speak almost at the same time as the audio. This requires stronger automatic control. Stage 5 is independent reproduction. Stop the audio and say the sentence alone with the same rhythm and intention. Stage 6 is meaning variation. Use the same sound pattern with your own information. Original. I didn't think it would take this long. Variations. I didn't think it would cost this much. I didn't think it would be this difficult. I didn't think they would arrive this early. I didn't think he would remember my name. Now the pattern becomes yours. Shadowing should not produce a single frozen imitation. It should develop flexible language control. The third rule is to copy prosody. Prosody includes stress, rhythm, pitch, speed changes, and pauses. These features carry meaning. Imagine someone says, I thought you were going to call him. The stress on you suggests a contrast. Perhaps another person was expected to make the call. Now, I thought you were going to call him. The stress suggests the speaker's belief may have been wrong. Now, I thought you were going to call him. The contrast may be between calling and doing something else. If you copy only the words, you miss the intention. When shadowing, ask, which words are strong? Which words are weak? Where does the voice rise? Where does it fall? Where does the speaker pause? Which word sounds emotionally important? Is the speaker certain, surprised, annoyed, amused, doubtful, or enthusiastic? Your voice should follow the message, not merely the syllables. The fourth rule is to preserve chunks. Do not pronounce each word separately. Take the sentence, I was wondering if you could help me with something. A learner may produce, I was wondering if you could help me with something. A natural speaker organizes it into groups. I was wondering / if you could help me / with something. The phrase, I was wondering if you could, functions as a polite request frame. Shadow the chunk as a unit. Do not break it apart unnecessarily. The fifth rule is to accept temporary imperfection. At first, you will fall behind. You will miss words. You will lose the rhythm. Do not solve this by speaking faster without control. Reduce the playback speed slightly if necessary, perhaps to 90% or 80%. Avoid extremely slow audio because it destroys natural rhythm. Once you can shadow accurately, return to normal speed. The purpose of reduced speed is coordination, not comfort. You should also choose material that matches your current speaking level. If the sentence contains too many unknown structures, your attention will be divided. Use language you could realistically say. For beginners and lower intermediate learners, short, everyday dialogues work well. For intermediate learners, use explanations, stories, and interviews. For advanced learners, use spontaneous discussions, presentations, and varied accents. Another useful technique is echo shadowing. Listen to one thought group, pause, and repeat it from memory. For example, audio. When I first moved here. You repeat. When I first moved here. Audio. I didn't know anyone. You repeat. I didn't know anyone. Audio. So I joined a local sports club. You repeat. So I joined a local sports club. Then connect the groups. When I first moved here, I didn't know anyone, so I joined a local sports club. Echo shadowing trains short-term auditory memory. This is important because real listening requires you to hold earlier words while processing later ones. You can increase the length gradually. Begin with 4-word groups, then 6 words, then 10 words, then full sentences. Do not read while doing the memory stage. Let the sound remain in your mind. Another method is emotion shadowing. Choose one sentence and say it with different intentions. Sentence: You're here early. Say it with pleasant surprise. Say it with suspicion. Say it with irritation. Say it as a simple observation. Say it as a joke. Then listen to native examples and notice how pitch and stress change. This develops sensitivity to emotional meaning. You can also use contrast shadowing. Choose 2 speakers discussing the same topic. Notice differences in accent, pace, and personality. One speaker may articulate carefully. Another may use more reductions. One may speak with a high-energy rhythm. Another may pause frequently. Do not decide that one version is correct and the other is wrong. Train adaptability. However, avoid switching models constantly during the early stages. Spend enough time with one speaker to internalize patterns. Recording yourself is essential. When you shadow live, your voice feels closer to the model than it actually is. Your attention is divided, so you may not notice inaccurate stress or missing sounds. Record the original sentence. Record yourself. Listen to both. Compare one feature at a time. Do not judge your entire accent. That is too vague. Ask: Did I stress the same key words? Did I reduce the smaller words? Did I pause in the same place? Did my final pitch rise or fall correctly? Did I connect the words? Was my vowel length similar? Choose one correction and record again. This focused comparison creates improvement. You do not need to erase your natural accent. The goal is clarity, flexibility, and listening sensitivity. When you learn how English rhythm feels in your own mouth, you recognize it more easily in another person's speech. Production strengthens perception. Think about musicians. A person who has practiced playing a rhythm often hears it more accurately. A dancer who has physically learned a sequence recognizes its timing more quickly. Moving your mouth can help train your ear, but shadowing must remain connected to meaning. Meaning on your mouth can meaning ears it more. After practicing a paragraph, summarize it in your own words, then speak about a similar experience using some of the same chunks. Suppose the paragraph says, "I'd always wanted to learn how to cook, but I kept putting it off because I thought it would be too difficult. Meething on Yursen Quarrel. Eventually, I signed up for a beginner's class, and it was much easier than I expected." After shadowing, summarize. The speaker delayed learning to cook because it seemed difficult, but later joined a class and discovered it was manageable. Then personalize. Meething and Hablen. I'd always wanted to learn how to drive, but I kept putting it off because I was nervous. Eventually, I started taking lessons, and it became easier after a few weeks. Meething. This 3-step process is powerful. Imitate. Understand, personalize. It transforms borrowed language into usable language. You can structure a 15-minute shadowing session like this. Spend 2 minutes listening for meaning. Spend 3 minutes reading and analyzing the transcript. Spend 3 minutes using pause and repeat. Spend 3 minutes delayed shadowing. Spend 2 minutes recording and comparing. Spend 2 minutes speaking freely with the same language pattern. That is enough. Longer is not always better. Shadowing demands intense concentration. 10 focused minutes can be more useful than 40 careless minutes. You should also rotate goals. One day focus on reductions. Meething your mouthfeeteran nulidbiend. Another day focus on sentence stress. Another day focus on emotional tone. Another day focus on staying with longer thought groups. This prevents shadowing from becoming mechanical. Be careful with extremely dramatic speeches. They may sound inspiring, but their rhythm may not resemble normal conversation. Train with the kind of English you actually want to understand and use. If your goal is workplace English, shadow meetings, presentations, interviews, and professional conversations. If your goal is social conversation, shadow casual dialogues and personal stories. If your goal is academic listening, shadow lectures, explanations, and discussions. Training should reflect the environment you are preparing for. Another advanced technique is selective shadowing. Instead of repeating everything, repeat only the stressed words during the first round. Audio. I wanted to call you, but I didn't have your number. You say, wanted, call. Didn't, number. This reveals the rhythmical skeleton. Then add the unstressed words. I wanted to call you, but I didn't have your number. Your ear learns how the lighter words fit between the stronger beats. You can also clap or tap on stressed words. Physical timing makes English rhythm easier to feel. Another technique is substitution shadowing. Keep the rhythm but replace one part. Model. I was going to call you after work. Substitutions. I was going to email you after lunch. I was going to meet her after class. I was going to finish it after dinner. The rhythmical frame remains stable while the content changes. This develops fluent sentence construction. Eventually, shadowing should improve not only your pronunciation but your ability to hear where one thought ends and another begins. You will recognize reduced phrases more quickly because you have practiced them physically. You will anticipate stressed information because you understand English rhythm. You will hold longer sound sequences in memory. You will become less disturbed by natural speed. But remember the central principle. Shadowing is not a race against the speaker. It is a method for entering the speaker's rhythm. Do not chase every syllable blindly. Listen first. Understand the message. Notice the sound pattern. Then copy it with attention. Your goal is not to become an echo. Your goal is to train your ear, voice, and mind to move through English together. Chapter 7. Use dictation to reveal what your ear is missing. Listening can create illusions. You play a clip and think you understood most of it. Then you try to write exactly what the speaker said and discover that several words were missing, changed, or guessed incorrectly. That discovery may feel discouraging. It should not. Dictation exposes the difference between general understanding and precise sound recognition. It shows you where your ear is strong and where it is inventing information. Used correctly, dictation is one of the most efficient ear training tools available. Used badly, it becomes a boring spelling test. The purpose is not to prove that you can write every word perfectly. The purpose is to identify why spoken English becomes unclear. Begin with a very short section, usually one sentence or 5 to 10 seconds of audio. Play it once without pausing. Write the general meaning. Then play it again and write the exact words you believe you hear. Use blanks for missing sections. For example, I underscore 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 call you. But I underscore 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 meeting. Play it a third time. Add what you can. Perhaps your version becomes, I was gonna call you, but I got underscore 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 meeting. Now check the transcript. I was going to call you, but I got caught up in a meeting. Compare carefully. You recognized going to as gonna. Good. You missed caught up in. Why? Perhaps caught up linked. Perhaps the phrase was unfamiliar as a chunk. Perhaps the final consonant was weak. Perhaps you expected a different grammar pattern. Your error contains information. Create 4 categories for dictation mistakes. The first category is unknown vocabulary. You could not recognize the word because you did not know it. Solution. Learn the word's meaning, pronunciation, stress, and one useful example. The second category is known vocabulary with an unfamiliar sound. You knew the word on paper but failed to recognize its spoken form. Solution. Study the pronunciation in context, identify reductions or linking, and repeat the original phrase. The third category is grammar or chunk unfamiliarity. You recognized individual sounds but did not expect the structure. For example, you may hear, I'd rather you didn't. The words are common, but the structure may be unfamiliar. Solution. Learn the entire pattern with several examples. The fourth category is attention failure. You could have understood the phrase, but your concentration dropped, or you remained focused on an earlier word. Solution. Practice releasing missed information and returning attention to the current sentence. This classification prevents you from using the wrong solution. If the problem is connected speech, memorizing the dictionary definition will not help. If the problem is unknown vocabulary, replaying the audio 20 times may not solve it. If the problem is attention, studying pronunciation rules may be unnecessary. Diagnose accurately. When doing dictation, do not replay the same sentence 30 times before checking. After 3 to 5 serious attempts, use the transcript. Endless guessing often trains frustration rather than listening. The learning occurs during comparison. Your version. He said he'd call me when he gets there. Transcript. He said he'd call me when he got there. You missed the tense change. Listen again. Can you hear the difference? Was the vowel weak? Did your grammar expectation cause you to replace the actual word with a more familiar form? Listeners do not receive sound neutrally. The brain predicts and sometimes edits what it hears. Dictation reveals those edits. Another example. Your version. We need to send it by Friday. Transcript. We needed to send it by Friday. You failed to hear the ed ending. Perhaps it was not strongly released before 2. This teaches you to notice grammatical information carried by small sounds. You can improve the exercise by marking confidence. When you write a word, label it mentally as certain, probable, guess. After checking, notice where confidence was inaccurate. Perhaps you were completely certain the speaker said 15 but they said 50. This tells you that your stress perception needs work. 15 usually carries stress on the second syllable in isolation or careful contrast, while 50 has a different ending and rhythm. In real sentences, context also matters. Practice minimal listening contrasts. 13 and 30, 14 and 40, 15 and 50, 16 and 60, 17 and 70, 18 and 80. Record them in sentences. The room costs $15. The room costs $50. The meeting starts at 13:30. The meeting starts at 3:30. Numbers create serious misunderstandings, so precise training is valuable. Dictation can also train contractions. Listen for I'd, he'd, we'd, they'd. These may represent would or had, depending on context. I'd already finished means I had already finished. I'd do it again means I would do it again. The surrounding grammar reveals the meaning. Similarly, he's may mean he is, or he has. He's tired means he is tired. He's finished the work means he has finished the work. Dictation forces you to use both sound and grammar. Another useful form is partial dictation. Take a transcript and remove selected phrases. Choose a category such as weak forms. Full sentence. I should have told you about it before we left. Gap version. I underscore 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 told you underscore 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 told you underscore 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 we left. Listen and complete. Should have. About. Before. On another day, remove phrasal verbs. I didn't expect them to turn down the offer. Gap. I didn't expect them to underscore 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 the offer. This focuses attention without requiring you to write everything. You can also use prediction dictation. Read the beginning of a sentence and predict the next phrase before listening. I was about to leave when. Possible predictions. The phone rang. She arrived. It started raining. My manager called me. Then listen to the actual ending. Prediction prepares your brain to process sentence structure. Another advanced method is backward dictation. Listen to a sentence and write the final phrase first. For example, I couldn't finish the report because my computer stopped working. First capture, stopped working. Then, my computer stopped working. Then, because my computer stopped working. Then reconstruct the entire sentence. This prevents the beginning of the sentence from consuming all your attention. Many learners hear the first half well and lose the ending. Backward focus corrects that imbalance. You can also practice delayed dictation. Listen to a short sentence once, wait 3 seconds, then write it from memory. This trains auditory working memory rather than immediate transcription. Increase the delay gradually. Real conversations require you to hold information while new information arrives. Delayed dictation strengthens that ability. Another version is summary dictation. Listen to a 30-second clip and write 1 or 2 sentences explaining the meaning. Then compare your summary with the transcript. This trains comprehension rather than exact wording. Use both precise and summary dictation. They develop different skills. Precise dictation asks, what exact sounds did the speaker produce? Summary dictation asks, what message did those sounds communicate? Strong listening requires both. After checking a dictation, do not stop at correcting the text. Use the correction cycle. First, listen while reading the correct sentence. Second, mark stress and connected speech. Third, repeat each thought group. Fourth, shadow the full sentence. 5th, hide the text and listen again. 6th, write the sentence one final time from sound. This final dictation proves whether your recognition improved. For example, the sentence is, I might have left it in the car. Your first version, I might left in the car. Transcript, I might have left it in the car. Analysis, might have became might have. It in linked. Practice, I might have left it in the car. Repeat, I might have left it in the car. Listen without text. Write again. If you now capture the entire sentence, you have converted a mistake into learning. Build a personal sound error list. Examples, missed week have after modal verbs. Did not hear plural s. Confused can and can't. Lost words after unfamiliar vocabulary. Missed to because it became tuta. Failed to recognize did you as didja. Confused there, and there in writing, even though the sound was understood. Some errors are listening problems, others are spelling problems. Do not confuse them. If you correctly understood the sentence but wrote the wrong homophone, your comprehension may be fine. Correct the spelling, but do not conclude that your ear failed. Choose dictation material with accurate transcripts. Automatic captions can contain errors, especially with names, accents, or technical language. If the transcript is unreliable, you may train incorrect information. Use educational platforms, podcasts with official transcripts, audiobooks with matching text, or carefully captioned videos. Do not choose audio with excessive background noise during the early stages. Later, noisy material can build real-world resilience, but first develop accurate recognition in clean conditions. A 10-minute dictation routine may include 3 sentences. Sentence 1 focuses on reductions. Sentence 2 focuses on endings or grammar sounds. Sentence 3 focuses on a useful conversational chunk. That is enough for daily progress. Quality matters more than quantity. You can also use self-dictation. Record yourself reading or speaking naturally. Wait several days. Then listen and write what you said. This reveals whether your own pronunciation is clear. If you cannot easily understand your recording, certain sounds, stress patterns, or sentence boundaries may need improvement. However, do not judge your voice harshly. Everyone finds recorded speech unfamiliar. Focus on intelligibility. Group dictation is useful when studying with others. One person chooses a clip. Everyone writes what they hear. Then compare versions before checking the transcript. Different learners hear different details. The discussion reveals multiple listening strategies. One person may identify grammar. Another may catch vocabulary. Another may recognize a reduction. This makes sound analysis more engaging. Do not turn dictation into perfectionism. You do not need 100% accuracy on every sentence. A sentence that reveals one important pattern has served its purpose. The goal is not to create flawless pages. The goal is to reduce repeated listening errors. If you miss could have today, study it. If you miss it again tomorrow, review it. If you recognize it next week without effort, the training worked. Dictation is powerful because it makes invisible misunderstandings visible. It removes vague statements such as, native speakers talk too fast, and replaces them with specific evidence. I did not recognize would have when it was reduced. I lost the sentence after an unknown phrasal verb. I confused 2 numbers. I missed a final consonant. Specific problems can be trained. Vague frustration cannot. Every dictation error is a map. It shows exactly where your ear stopped understanding and where your next improvement can begin. Chapter 8. Train with different voices without confusing your ear. You may understand your English teacher perfectly and still struggle with everyone else. You may follow one podcast host but become lost when a guest begins speaking. You may understand a careful American speaker but struggle with a British, Australian, Irish, South African, Indian, Pakistani, Nigerian, or Singaporean speaker. This does not mean you have learned the wrong English. It means your listening system is too dependent on one voice pattern. Every speaker has a unique sound. People differ in pitch, speed, accent, age, vocal quality, pronunciation habits, vocabulary, rhythm, and clarity. Some speak in complete sentences, others restart constantly. Some pause before important words. Others rush through entire thoughts. Some reduce heavily, others pronounce words more carefully. Your ear needs both stability and variety. Too little variety makes you fragile. Too much variety too early creates confusion. The solution is progressive expansion. Begin with one anchor speaker. Choose someone whose speech is understandable but still challenging. The person should produce the kind of English you want to understand. Train with this speaker regularly for 2 to 4 weeks. Familiarity will help you notice recurring reductions, rhythm, vocabulary, and sentence patterns. You will learn the speaker's voice almost like a musical instrument. This stability allows your ear to develop without constantly adapting to a new accent. Then add a second speaker with a similar level of clarity. Do not jump immediately from a careful teacher to the fastest comedy dialogue you can find. Change one variable at a time. For example, Week 1 and 2, one clear American speaker. Week 3, another American speaker with a different voice. Week 4, a British speaker on similar topics. Week 5, an interview containing 2 speakers. Week 6, a casual conversation with mild interruptions. This gradual exposure builds flexibility. When training accents, focus first on common systematic differences. Do not imitate stereotypes or assume everyone from a country speaks the same way. Accents contain enormous individual and regional variation. Still, certain pronunciation patterns may help your ear. For example, some British accents pronounce the R after vowels less strongly than many American accents. Car may sound closer to ka in one accent and contain a clear R in another. The word water may use a flap-like sound in many North American accents, while other speakers pronounce a clearer T. Vowel sounds in words such as dance, bath, lot, not, can't, and schedule may differ. The word either may begin with an E sound or an I sound. Advertisement may carry different stress patterns. These variations become easier when you learn that multiple correct pronunciations exist. Your ear should build categories, not one rigid recording. Take the word better. You may hear a clear T. You may hear a flap that resembles D. You may hear the final R strongly or weakly depending on the accent. All versions must connect to the same word and meaning. Use accent comparison carefully. Choose the same word or sentence spoken by several people. Listen for differences without deciding that one version is superior. For example, I can't believe you did that. Speaker 1 may stress can't strongly. Speaker 2 may use a different vowel. Speaker 3 may reduce you and connect did that. Your job is to recognize the sentence across changing sound forms. However, do not spend all your time studying isolated accent features. Real comprehension depends heavily on context, vocabulary, and familiarity. A strong accent on a familiar topic may be easier than a familiar accent discussing an unfamiliar technical subject. Separate accent difficulty from content difficulty. Before blaming the accent, ask, do I know the vocabulary? Do I understand the topic? Is the audio quality clear? Are multiple people speaking? Is there background noise? Are they using local slang? Are they speaking emotionally? The accent may be only one factor. Train with speaker ladders. Level 1. One clear speaker reading or presenting. Level 2. One speaker talking spontaneously. Level 3. Two speakers taking turns clearly. Level 4. An interview with natural speed. Level 5. Several speakers with interruptions. Level 6. Real-world audio with mild background noise. Level 7. Films, unscripted comedy, crowded conversations, or strongly regional speech. Do not live permanently at Level 1, but do not begin at Level 7 and call yourself incapable. Progress requires appropriate challenge. Another difficulty is voice switching. In interviews, you may understand the host but lose comprehension when the guest responds. Your ear needs a moment to adjust to the new voice. Train this adjustment directly. Choose a short interview. Listen only to the host's questions first, then listen only to the guest's answers. Then play the full exchange. This isolates the voice patterns. You can also label speakers mentally. Host asks, guest explains, host challenges, guest gives example. Understanding conversational roles helps organize the sound. Overlapping speech creates another challenge. Two people may speak at once. One may laugh while the other continues. A speaker may interrupt with, right, exactly, I know, wait, really? These small responses can make the audio feel chaotic. Begin by ignoring the secondary speaker and following the person carrying the main message. Later, listen again and notice the interruptions. Do not expect to process every voice equally from the beginning. In real conversations, fluent listeners also prioritize. Background noise should be introduced gradually. First, train with clean studio audio, then use video calls with mild compression, then recordings from cafes, streets, offices, or public spaces. Noise training is useful because real communication rarely occurs in perfect conditions, but noise does not teach basic sound patterns. It tests patterns you have already learned. If the speech itself is still unfamiliar, adding noise only increases confusion. You should also train with speed variation. Many audio players allow playback adjustment. Use this tool intelligently. If a clip is slightly too difficult, reduce it to 90% or 85%. Study the language. Then return to normal speed. Finally, try 105% or 110% for a brief challenge. When you return to normal speed, the audio may feel easier. Do not train permanently at reduced speed. Your ear must eventually meet real timing. Do not use extremely high speed as a performance trick. Understanding distorted speech at double speed is not necessary for ordinary communication. The goal is adaptability, not spectacle. You can also compare scripted and spontaneous speech. Scripted speech is usually cleaner. Sentences are complete. The speaker knows what comes next. Spontaneous speech contains fillers, corrections, repeated phrases, unfinished thoughts, and grammatical changes. A speaker may say, "I was going to, well, actually I had planned to leave earlier, but then my manager asked if I could stay for another hour." The sentence changes direction. Do not interpret every restart as a listening failure. Learn common self-correction signals. Actually, or rather, let me put it another way. Well, what I'm trying to say is, no, wait, the speaker is reorganizing the message. Your job is to update your understanding. Train with transcript markings. Use a dash for interrupted thoughts. Use repeated words exactly as spoken. Notice fillers. Then listen again and separate core meaning from speech management. Spontaneous speech becomes easier when you realize that not every word advances the message. Another important skill is topic-based variety. Listen to several speakers discussing the same subject. For example, choose the topic of productivity. Listen to a teacher explain it. Listen to a podcast interview. Listen to a personal story. Listen to a workplace discussion. Because the topic remains stable, you can focus on voice and accent differences without learning completely new vocabulary each time. Then switch topics while returning to familiar speakers. This balances content and speaker variation. Create an accent and voice map. Do not write judgments such as easy or bad. Write specific observations. Speaker A uses many reductions. Speaker B pauses frequently. Speaker C speaks softly and drops final sounds. Speaker D uses unfamiliar vocabulary. Speaker E speaks quickly but stresses key words clearly. Specific observations prevent prejudice and improve strategy. When a speaker feels difficult, study them in short sections. Do not avoid the voice completely. Repeated exposure often creates rapid adaptation. The first 5 minutes may feel difficult. After 20 minutes, the accent becomes more predictable. After several sessions, phrases that once sounded strange become normal. This is called perceptual adaptation. Your brain learns the speaker's patterns. You have already experienced it in your first language. A person with an unfamiliar regional accent may initially require effort. After spending time with them, understanding improves. The same can happen in English. However, be realistic. You do not need equal mastery of every English accent in the world. Prioritize based on your goals. Which accents do you encounter at work? Which countries are your clients, teachers, colleagues, or friends from? Which media do you consume? Where do you plan to study or travel? Build broad flexibility, but focus deeply on relevant voices. Another useful method is voice replay. Take one sentence spoken by 3 different people. For example, "I didn't know you were coming." Speaker 1 says it with surprise. Speaker 2 says it with annoyance. Speaker 3 says it casually. Listen until you recognize the sentence regardless of voice and emotion. Then repeat each version. This teaches you that language identity survives surface variation. Train age variation too. Children may have higher voices, incomplete articulation, and simpler grammar. Older speakers may speak more slowly or have different vocal quality. Young adults may use more slang and reductions. Again, individual differences are enormous, but broad exposure helps. Gender does not determine one fixed speech style, but pitch ranges and vocal qualities may affect your recognition. Listening to a variety of voices prevents dependence on one frequency pattern. Telephone and online audio require separate practice. Phone calls remove visual information. You cannot see lip movement, gestures, or facial expressions. Audio quality may be compressed. Names and numbers become harder. Practice short phone dialogues. Train confirmation phrases. Let me make sure I heard you correctly. Did you say 15 or 50? Could you spell that for me? Was that B as in book or D as in door? The line is breaking up. Could you repeat the last part? Could you speak a little more slowly? These are not signs of weak English. They are practical communication tools. Video calls include delay and accidental interruption. Practice entering conversations politely. Sorry, go ahead. I think we spoke at the same time. You were saying, let me finish this thought. Could you repeat that? The audio cut out. Listening skill includes managing imperfect technology. Do not measure yourself only against films. Films are designed for emotional realism, not language teaching. Characters may whisper, shout, speak over music, use cultural references, and interrupt one another. Failing to understand a dramatic scene does not mean you cannot understand everyday English. Use films as advanced exposure, not your only measurement. A better listening portfolio contains clear educational audio, conversational podcasts, interviews, workplace discussions, personal stories, phone or video call audio, different accents relevant to your life. Some entertainment content. Variety should be structured. Otherwise, you may consume random difficulty without building transferable skill. Your ear becomes flexible through repeated comparison. Same phrase, different speaker. Same topic, different accent. Same speaker, different emotional state. Same vocabulary, different speed. Same conversation, cleaner and noisier audio. Each variation teaches your brain to search for stable meaning beneath changing sound. Eventually, you stop needing every speaker to sound like your teacher. You stop panicking when a new voice appears. You give your ear several seconds to adapt. You listen for rhythm, context, and key information. You recognize that unfamiliar does not mean impossible. It means your brain has found another pattern to learn. Chapter 9. Follow the daily ear training routine. A good listening routine must be effective enough to create improvement and simple enough to repeat. Many learners design routines that look impressive on paper and collapse after 3 days. They plan to watch a film, study 50 words, shadow a podcast, complete dictation, review grammar, and speak for an hour every morning. The routine is too heavy. They miss one day, feel guilty, and stop completely. Consistency requires intelligent limits. Your ear does not need a heroic session once a week. It needs focused contact every day. The following routine can be completed in 30 to 45 minutes. You may shorten it to 15 or 20 minutes on busy days. The structure matters more than the exact duration. The routine has 5 parts: warm recognition, intensive listening, sound training, active reproduction. Extensive listening. Let us begin with warm recognition. Spend 3 to 5 minutes reviewing audio you have already studied. Do not begin every session with new difficult material. Play 2 or 3 sentences from previous days. Listen without text. Can you still recognize them? Repeat them once. This gives your ear an early success and strengthens long-term memory. Your review should be audio-based. Looking at a list of phrases is not enough. You need to hear, "I should have told you." "What have you been up to?" "I didn't realize we were supposed to bring anything." "Do you mind if I open the window?" It turns out they had already left. When the sound triggers the meaning quickly, the phrase is becoming automatic. If one phrase has become unclear again, mark it for brief review. Do not spend the whole session rebuilding yesterday's lesson. The second part is intensive listening. Spend 10 to 15 minutes on one short clip. The clip may be 30 seconds to 2 minutes long. Use the layered method. First, listen for general meaning. Second, listen for keywords. Third, isolate difficult sections. Check the transcript. Analyze 1 to 3 sound patterns. Listen again without the transcript. Do not attempt to master every sentence equally. Choose the most useful or difficult lines. Suppose the clip contains 8 sentences. 3 are already clear. 2 contain rare vocabulary. 3 contain common language that you failed to recognize. Focus on the final 3. Training should prioritize frequent patterns. A sentence such as, "I was going to ask if you wanted to come with us," contains extremely useful language. Was going to, ask if, wanted to, come with us. Study it deeply. A sentence containing a rare technical term may be less valuable unless the topic matters to your goals. The third part is sound training. Spend 5 to 10 minutes on one specific feature. Do not choose 5 features. One feature. Examples: weak forms of to, for, and. Did you, would you, and could you. Should have, could have, and might have. Consonant to vowel linking. Word endings such as ed or plural s. Number contrasts. Sentence stress. Choose 2 or 3 examples from real audio. Listen. Mark the pattern. Repeat. Record yourself if possible. Then listen again. This focused daily theme helps your ear notice the feature throughout the rest of the day. If today's theme is should have, you may suddenly hear it in a podcast, video, or conversation. Attention increases learning. The fourth part is active reproduction. Spend 5 to 10 minutes shadowing, paraphrasing, or responding. Choose 1 or 2 sentences from the intensive clip. Use pause and repeat, then delayed shadowing. Then say the sentence independently. Finally, use the pattern with your own information. Model. I was supposed to finish it yesterday, but something came up. Personal version. I was supposed to call my friend yesterday, but I had to work late. Model. I didn't realize how difficult it would be. Personal versions. I didn't realize how much time it would take. I didn't realize how expensive it would be. I didn't realize how nervous I would feel. Active reproduction strengthens listening because the sound pattern becomes physically and personally familiar. The fifth part is extensive listening. Spend 10 to 20 minutes listening to easier material without constant pausing. Choose content where you understand approximately 70 to 90% of the main message. Walk, sit, or relax while listening, but remain mentally present. Do not use subtitles in your first language. English subtitles may be used briefly if necessary, but try to follow the audio. The purpose is to maintain attention across longer stretches. Intensive training builds precision. Extensive listening builds endurance. You need both. Your full 40-minute routine might look like this: 5 minutes of review, 15 minutes of intensive listening, 5 minutes of sound focus, 5 minutes of shadowing and personalization, 10 minutes of extensive listening. On a busy day, use the minimum routine: 2 minutes of review, 5 minutes of intensive listening, 3 minutes of shadowing, 5 minutes of extensive listening. 15 minutes is enough to protect consistency. Do not use lack of time as an excuse to do nothing. A short session maintains the habit and keeps English active in your auditory system. You can create 3 routine levels. Minimum day, 15 minutes. Normal day, 30 to 45 minutes. Deep training day, 60 minutes. The minimum prevents interruption. The normal routine creates steady progress. The deep session allows longer review, dictation, or accent practice once or twice a week. Do not make every day a deep training day unless your schedule genuinely supports it. Fatigue reduces attention. Listening while mentally absent is not the same as training. Your routine also needs content organization. Create 3 folders or playlists. The first is current training. Place 1 to 3 short clips there. The second is review. Move mastered clips there and revisit them occasionally. The third is easy listening. Place longer podcasts, stories, or videos for extensive exposure there. This prevents you from wasting time searching for material during every session. Searching feels productive, but it often becomes avoidance. Choose material in advance. You should also keep a small listening log. After each session, write date, clip title, main difficulty, 1 useful phrase, 1 sound pattern. Comprehension before study. Comprehension after study. Example: August 6th. Interview about changing careers. Difficulty: I'd been thinking about it. Phrase: put something off. Pattern: had been, contracted to I'd been. Before, 50%. After, 90%. This log provides evidence of progress. Without records, learners remember only difficult moments and conclude that nothing is changing. Progress in listening is often quiet. You do not suddenly wake up understanding every film. You notice that you no longer need subtitles for one speaker. You catch a reduced phrase immediately. You follow a longer answer without translating. You recover faster after missing a word. Your log captures these improvements. Use weekly themes. Week 1, weak forms. Week 2, linking. Week 3, contractions and modal perfect forms. Week 4, listening for thought groups. Week 5, question patterns. Week 6. Numbers, Names, and Details. A weekly theme gives direction while still allowing varied content. Do not spend an entire month on one tiny sound feature. Listening must remain connected to real communication. You can also design routines around your goals. For workplace English, use meeting clips, train instructions, updates, deadlines, requests, agreement, disagreement, and clarification. For academic English, use short lectures, train signposts, examples, definitions, cause and effect language, and note-taking. For travel, use airport announcements, hotel conversations, directions, restaurant interactions, and problem-solving dialogues. For social fluency, use personal stories, casual interviews, everyday questions, reactions, and humor. For online communication, use video calls, presentations, tutorials, and customer service conversations. Relevant content increases motivation and transfer. Your routine should include retrieval. Do not only expose yourself to English, force your brain to produce what it remembers. After listening, close the transcript and answer. What was the main idea? What happened first? What problem appeared? What phrase did the speaker use? Can I repeat the sentence? Can I explain it differently? Retrieval strengthens memory more than repeated rereading. Another useful habit is the one-sentence carryover. After each session, choose one sentence to carry through the day. For example, I was about to call you. Repeat it several times during natural moments. Create new endings. I was about to leave. I was about to start. I was about to ask the same question. I was about to send you a message. Listen for the pattern in other content. One deeply learned sentence can generate many useful connections. Use morning and evening strategically. A short morning session activates English early. An evening review strengthens retention. You might train for 25 minutes in the morning and review audio for 5 minutes at night, or listen extensively during a commute and perform intensive work later. The best schedule is the one you can repeat. Do not confuse habit with strict timing. Training at different times is still training. However, linking the routine to a stable event helps. After breakfast, before work, during the commute, after evening tea, before opening social media. A clear trigger reduces decision-making. Prepare your headphones, notebook, transcript, and clip in advance. Remove friction. Your environment affects consistency. If starting requires opening 6 applications and searching for a transcript, you will often avoid it. Make the first action easy. Open the current clip. Press play. Your routine should also contain recovery rules. You will miss days. Do not punish yourself with a 2-hour session the next day. Simply return to the minimum routine. Never miss twice when possible. One missed day is a scheduling problem. Several missed days can become a broken habit. Return quickly. You should also manage difficulty. If you fail to understand almost everything for several days, the material is too hard. Move down one level. This is not weakness, it is intelligent training. If you understand everything on the first listen and discover no new patterns, the material may be too easy for intensive work. Keep it for extensive listening and choose a slightly harder clip. The right difficulty creates effort without hopelessness. Your emotional state matters too. Do not begin each session by saying, "Let us see how bad my listening is today." That turns training into an examination. Say, "Let us find one sound pattern my ear can learn today." You are not testing a fixed ability, you are developing a changing system. The routine works because it combines several forms of learning. Review uses spaced repetition. Intensive listening builds precise recognition. Sound focus develops phonetic awareness. Shadowing connects perception and production. Personalization creates active language. Extensive listening builds automaticity and endurance. No single technique carries the whole process. The combination creates balanced improvement. Follow this routine for 30 days before judging it. Do not change your method every 3 days because another video promises a faster secret. Listening improvement requires enough repetition for patterns to become automatic. Constantly replacing your routine prevents adaptation. You may adjust the material, but keep the structure stable. Review, study, analyze, repeat, use, listen longer. That sequence trains the ear from several directions. At the end of each week, choose one old clip and listen to it again. Notice the difference. A clip that once required subtitles may now feel simple. Do not dismiss that success by saying, "I only understand because I studied it." Of course you understand because you studied it, That is what learning means. The purpose of training is to make unfamiliar language familiar. The patterns from that clip will appear in future clips. Your brain is building a library of sound. Every reduced phrase, linked sequence, rhythmical pattern, and conversational chunk becomes part of that library. Daily training adds to it. Review protects it. Real listening activates it. Eventually, fast English becomes easier not because speakers have changed, but because your internal library has become large enough to recognize what they are doing. Chapter 10. Complete the 30-day ear training plan. You now understand the methods, but knowledge does not improve listening until it becomes a repeated practice. The next 30 days are designed to convert these ideas into an actual change in your ear. Do not attempt to master every English accent or every form of fast speech in 1 month. The goal is more practical. By the end of 30 days, you should be able to recognize common reductions more quickly, follow thought groups instead of individual words, recover after missing information, understand 1 or 2 chosen speakers more comfortably, and use a daily routine without depending immediately on subtitles. The plan is divided into 4 stages. The first stage builds awareness. The second stage develops recognition. The third stage increases flexibility. The fourth stage creates independence. During the first week, focus on discovering what natural English actually sounds like. Choose 1 anchor speaker and 1 main source containing accurate transcripts. Do not use 5 different platforms. Keep the environment stable. On day 1, record your starting point. Choose a new 1-minute clip. Listen once without subtitles. Write the main idea. Estimate how much you understood. Then write any exact phrases you caught. Do not study the clip yet. Save this recording as your baseline. At the end of 30 days, you will return to it. After the baseline test, choose a separate short clip for training. Use the layered listening method. Your sound focus for day 1 is week 2. Listen for want to, have to, going to, need to, supposed to. Notice how to often becomes te. Repeat several sentences. On day 2, focus on weak and. Listen for and becoming un, n, or a very light sound. Examples: bread and butter, come and see, you and me, try and remember, black and white. Do not force an unnatural pronunciation, simply recognize the reduced form. On day 3, focus on week 4. Examples: for a while, for you, for the first time, looking for it, waiting for someone. Notice how for may sound like fur. On day 4, focus on consonant to vowel linking. Pick it up, turn it on, send it over, call him again. Take it away, mark the links and repeat them. On day 5, focus on did you, would you, and could you. Listen for natural combinations. Didja, woulda, coulda. Practice questions. Did you see it? Would you help me? Could you explain that? On day 6, review the week's patterns. Choose a new clip from the same speaker. Do not check the transcript immediately. Count how many reductions or links you can notice. Your attention should already be sharper than it was on day 1. On day 7, use light training. Listen extensively for 20 to 30 minutes. Review 5 useful sentences from the week. Then reflect. Which sound pattern caused the most difficulty? Which phrase became easier? Did you panic less when you missed a word? Week 1 is not about speed. It is about awareness. Before training, fast speech may sound like random destruction of words. After week 1, you should begin noticing predictable changes. During week 2, focus on chunks and direct meaning. Keep your anchor speaker, but add a second source with similar clarity. On day 8, collect 5 conversational chunks from real audio. Examples: I'm not sure if, the thing is, it depends on, I was about to, it turns out. Listen to each chunk in a full sentence. Explain its meaning in simple English. Create 1 personal example. On day 9, train question recognition. Choose questions such as, what have you been up to? How did it go? What do you mean? What was it like? How come you didn't call? Do you mind if I? Listen at natural speed and respond immediately. Do not prepare perfect answers. Build sound to response speed. On day 10, train story structure. Listen to a short personal story. Identify situation, problem, action, result. Do not write every word. Use keywords and summarize. On day 11, train contrast language. Listen for but, however, even though, although. On the other hand, the difference is while. These signals often carry important changes in meaning. When you hear one, prepare for a contrast. On day 12, train cause and result. Listen for because, so, that's why, as a result, since, due to, the reason is. Create a simple map of the speaker's logic, cause, result. On day 13, perform dictation on 3 short sentences. Classify every error: unknown vocabulary, known word, unrecognized sound, unfamiliar chunk, attention failure. Do not simply correct the text. Study the reason. On day 14, review all chunks from week 2. Play the original audio. Can you understand them without text? Then speak for 2 minutes using at least 3 chunks. For example, I was about to start a new course, but the thing is, I wasn't sure if I had enough time. It turns out the schedule was flexible, so I decided to join. You are now connecting listening with active use. During week 3, increase speaker and speed flexibility. Add a third speaker with a different voice or accent. Keep the topic relatively familiar. On day 15, listen to 2 speakers saying similar types of sentences. Compare rhythm and pronunciation. Do not imitate everything. Identify differences. Perhaps one speaker reduces more. Perhaps another pauses more. Perhaps one pronounces T clearly while another uses a flap. Your ear is learning multiple valid forms. On day 16, train an interview. Listen to the host's questions separately. Then listen to the guest's answers. Finally, play the full exchange. Notice how quickly your ear adjusts when the voice changes. On day 17, train spontaneous speech. Choose a clip containing fillers and self-correction. Listen for, well, I mean, actually, you know, kind of, basically. What I'm trying to say is, separate the core message from the fillers. On day 18, practice playback variation. Study a short clip at 90% speed if necessary. Return to normal speed. Then listen once at 105 or 110%. Return to normal speed again. Notice whether the original feels easier. Do not perform detailed analysis at high speed. Use it only as a brief perception challenge. On day 19, train telephone-style audio. Use a clip without visual support. Focus on names, numbers, dates, and instructions. Practice confirmation language. Did you say 13 or 30? Could you spell that? Let me repeat that back to you. So the appointment is on Tuesday at 4, correct? On day 20, use mild background noise. Choose audio recorded in a cafe, office, street, or online call. Follow the main speaker. Ignore secondary sounds. Do not choose extremely poor audio. The goal is controlled resilience. On day 21, complete a weekly test. Choose a new 90-second clip from one of the week's speakers. First listen. Summarize. Second listen. Write keywords. Third listen. Identify difficult moments. Then study the transcript and perform a blind re-listen. Compare your recovery speed with week 1. Perhaps you still miss words, but you no longer collapse after one gap. That is meaningful progress. During week 4, move toward independence. You will use fewer immediate supports and longer listening sections. On day 22, listen to a 3-minute clip without subtitles. Pause only after each minute. Summarize each section. Then listen again and add details. This increases listening endurance. On day 23, perform delayed summarizing. Listen to 1 minute, wait 10 seconds, then explain what you heard. This strengthens auditory memory. On day 24, practice selective listening. Choose a specific target before playing the clip. For example, what decision did the speaker make? What 3 reasons did they give? What time was the event? What changed at the end? Listen only for that information. Real listening often requires focused extraction rather than total comprehension. On day 25, practice repair skills. Use a dialogue and pause after unclear lines. Create clarification questions. Did you mean the meeting was canceled? Are you saying we need to send it today? I understood the first reason, but what was the second one? Could you repeat the name? This connects listening training to real communication. On day 26, perform full shadowing practice. Choose a paragraph you understand. Listen. Mark stress. Use pause and repeat. Use delayed shadowing. Record yourself. Compare one feature. Then speak about a similar topic using the same rhythmical patterns. On day 27, train free listening. Choose 15 to 20 minutes of content that interests you. Do not use subtitles. Do not pause more than 3 times. Follow the message and accept gaps. Afterward, summarize the content for 2 minutes. This tests your ability to remain engaged without controlling every sentence. On day 28, review your error log. Identify your 3 most common problems. For example, weak forms after modal verbs, losing attention after unknown words, difficulty switching speakers. Choose one short exercise for each problem. Do not review everything. Target the evidence. On day 29, return to clips from the first week. Listen without transcripts. Notice how familiar they feel. Repeat the most useful sentences. Then choose one completely new clip from the same anchor speaker. Compare your understanding with your earlier experience. On day 30, return to the baseline clip from day 1. Listen once without subtitles. Do not review it beforehand. Write the main idea. Write the phrases you understand. Estimate your comprehension. Then compare with your original notes. You may discover that the clip sounds slower. Perhaps you recognize reductions that previously disappeared. Perhaps you understand the sentence structure more clearly. Perhaps your percentage has increased. Even if the improvement is not dramatic, examine specific changes. Did you recover faster? Did you recognize more chunks? Did you depend less on translation? Did you understand the speaker's intention? Did you remain calmer? Listening growth includes all of these. After the 30-day plan, do not stop. The first month builds the system. The following months expand it. Continue using the daily routine, but change the balance according to your needs. If precise recognition remains weak, increase dictation and micro-listening. If you understand short clips but struggle with long content, increase extensive listening and delayed summaries. If one accent is easy but other speakers are difficult, expand voice variety gradually. If you understand but cannot respond quickly, add automatic question and answer practice. If subtitles still control your attention, use blind first listens more consistently. Your training should evolve based on evidence. You should also measure progress realistically. Do not ask, "Can I understand every native speaker now?" Ask, "Can I understand more than last month? Can I recognize phrases faster? Can I follow a longer explanation? Can I recover after missing a word? Can I understand without translating as often? Can I use the transcript as a tool instead of depending on it? Can I handle more than one speaker? Can I identify why a sentence was difficult?" These questions reveal real growth. There will still be bad listening days. Fatigue, stress, poor audio, unfamiliar topics, and difficult accents affect comprehension. One difficult conversation does not erase your progress. Your ability is not identical every day. Do not make permanent conclusions from temporary conditions. When listening suddenly feels impossible, return to fundamentals. Choose clear audio. Use a short clip. Find the main idea. Identify one difficult phrase. Check it, repeat it, listen again. Success with one sentence can reset your attention. You also need to avoid the endless beginner cycle. Some learners constantly search for easy listening practice because difficult material threatens their confidence. They remain comfortable but never adapt to natural speech. Others constantly choose material far beyond their level because they believe struggle proves seriousness. They remain overwhelmed and learn very little. Progress lives between comfort and chaos. Choose material where effort creates recovery. You should be able to move from partial understanding to strong understanding through training. That movement is the exercise. Another mistake is collecting techniques without repeating any of them. You watch a video about shadowing and try it once. Then you discover dictation. Then a new method tells you to watch films. Then another recommends audiobooks. Then another says subtitles are harmful. Your routine changes constantly, but your ear never receives consistent practice. Stop searching for the perfect method. Use a strong combination long enough for adaptation to occur. Listen before reading. Study short clips. Analyze real sound changes. Repeat with rhythm. Test yourself without text. Review after a delay. Listen extensively. That system works because it follows how recognition is built. Your ear needs encounters with the same pattern across time and context. One phrase may appear in a lesson today. You hear it in an interview tomorrow. You use it in your own sentence the next day. You recognize it in a phone call next week. Each encounter strengthens the network. Eventually, the phrase requires no conscious effort. This is how fluency develops. Not as one giant achievement, But as thousands of language decisions becoming unnecessary, you no longer decide what gonna means. You recognize it. You no longer analyze I'd been. You recognize it. You no longer translate what have you been up to. You respond. You no longer panic when a speaker reduces should have. Your ear already knows the sound. Automaticity is the result of correct repetition. You must also maintain curiosity. When a sentence is unclear, replace frustration with investigation. Do not say, "They speak terribly." Ask, "Which sound changed?" Do not say, "I know all these words, so why can't I understand?" Ask, "How were the words connected?" Do not say, "This accent is impossible." Ask, "Which pronunciation pattern is unfamiliar?" Do not say, "I missed one word so the whole sentence is gone." Ask, "What meaning can I recover from the rest?" Curiosity keeps your mind active. Judgment shuts it down. Remember that your listening ability will often improve before you feel confident. You may understand more but still expect failure. Your self-image may update more slowly than your skill. Use evidence. Save old clips. Keep notes. Record comprehension estimates. Review your error log. Compare month to month. Do not rely entirely on emotion. One day you may feel excellent because the topic is familiar. Another day you may feel weak because the vocabulary is technical. Objective records reveal the larger direction. You should also celebrate a specific kind of success, recognition without effort. When you hear a phrase that used to confuse you and understand it immediately, pause mentally and notice what happened. That instant understanding is the product of training. Do not dismiss it because it now feels easy. Easy is what trained skills feel like. The goal of practice is to turn difficult patterns into obvious ones. Fast English will never become perfectly clean. Real speakers will continue to reduce, interrupt, change direction, use unfamiliar words, and speak with different accents. Your goal is not to eliminate uncertainty. Your goal is to remain functional inside it. You understand enough to follow. You predict intelligently. You ask for clarification when necessary. You recover quickly. You continue listening. That is real fluency. Fluency is not hearing every sound. It is staying connected to meaning. So tomorrow, do not begin by searching for another secret. Choose one short clip. Listen without text. Find the main idea. Notice what disappears. Check the transcript. Study the sound. Repeat the rhythm. Hide the words. Listen again. Then return the next day. The routine may look simple. Its effect is not. Every focused session teaches your brain where words begin, how sounds change, which information receives stress, and how spoken English carries meaning. Day by day, the blur separates. The phrases become familiar. The gaps become smaller. The speaker seems slower, even when the speed has not changed. One day, you will hear a conversation that would have overwhelmed you before. You will understand the main idea immediately. You will catch the reductions. You will follow the rhythm. You may still miss a word, but you will not lose the message. And in that moment, you will realize something important. Fast English was never an impossible speed. It was an unfamiliar sound system. You trained your ear. The system became familiar, and English finally began to sound like English.